Welcome to the Chamber Spotlight, a local talk show podcast brought to you by the Pembroke Chamber of Commerce in association with the local scene. We'll be recording on a regular basis and we'll cover many topics that span local businesses, local elections, local town governance, and a citizens' academy. I'm your host, Fraser Townley, and today we're sitting down with Leon Beeloo. Leon, how are you?
Welcome. Thank you.
And it is January the 12th. Getting on with the year. How about that? So look, before you and I have the conversation, Leon, we're going to go to the town where I sat down earlier today with Andrea Cesarini, who has some town headlines. It's Monday the 12th of January, and I'm here with Andrea Cesarini of the Town Hall. Andrea, you've got some headlines for us.
Yes, I do, Fraser. Okay, so today, Monday, January 12th, our Board of Health and Advisory Committee are meeting. Tomorrow.
That's two different meetings.
Yes. Board of Health is separate. Finance Advisory Committee is separate. They're meeting today, Monday, January 12th. Tomorrow, Tuesday, January 13th, our Herring Fisheries, our Zoning Board of Appeals, and our Recreation Committee are meeting. And then Wednesday, January 13th, our Recycling and Sustainability Committee are meeting. And a reminder that a majority of these meetings are broadcast on the local scene. Meetings can be rewatched on www.thelocalscene.media/Pembroke/. Some miscellaneous news around town. I keep pushing this because my chief assessor has asked. Property tax exemption applications are still being accepted. For additional information, please contact the assessor's office at 781-293-2393. The veterans tax exemptions are due February 2nd, 2026. All other exemptions are due April 1st. And she asked me to push this because there are absolutely no exceptions for late applications. So please file accordingly. If you have any questions, please make a point to call them sooner rather than later. Property tax bills and trash bills were recently mailed out. Both of those are due for Monday, February 2nd. If you did not get your trash bill, it could be because you paid for the whole year in 2025. So for those that only pay for 6 months at a time, those were the bills that just recently came out. They are due Monday, February 2nd. The Senior Center has launched their Cafe Wednesday meetup program. Join our Council on Aging Wednesdays from 9 to 10:30 for coffee, pastry, and conversation. Costs are $3. The Pembroke Recreation has launched Toddler Time. That's every Monday from 9 to 11 a.m. There is no cost for Pembroke residents. There is a $5 fee that applies to any out-of-town interested parties. The Pembroke Public Schools have a half day on January 28th. With this in mind, the Recreation Department is offering a one-day rate for their after-school program, specifically launching a program on that day with a guided experimental and educational cooking skills taught by Kids Test Kitchen. Kids will take the bus right from school. You can register by contacting our Pembroke Recreation Department at 781-293-3249 or emailing jfullmine@townofpembrokemass.org. A reminder from the clerk's office to please register your dog by April 1st to avoid any late fees. If you are a senior over 70 and you have not received your tag or you're not sure if we have the correct info on you to get your free tag, please give our office a call, 781-293-7211. Please return your annual street listing or your annual census by June 1st to avoid being listed as inactive on the voter registration rolls. Inactive voters can participate in all election and town meetings. However, the voter will need to sign an affidavit when they come to vote. You can also take a picture and sign your census, take a picture and email it to amcketrick@townofpembrokemass.org. I'll shoot you an email back confirming I've received it, and then your census will be recorded. And nomination papers for the May 2026 local election are currently available. And open seats include 2 select board seats, 2 school committee seats, 2 planning board seats, 2 library trustee seats, 1 seat on the Board of Health, 1 seat on the Board of Assessors, 1 seat on the Water Commissioners, 1 seat on the Housing Authority, 1 open constable's position, and 1 town clerk position. Then Town Hall will be closed Monday, January 19th for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday.
That's terrific, Andrea. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Leon.
Fraser.
I know we've met several times. I'm fairly familiar. You've just joined the chamber. Who are you?
Who am I? Boy. So I'm pretty new to Pembroke as a whole. So I came by way as a small business owner. I owned a gym in Rockland, and I have since sold that gym to one of my good friends, and she's opening in Pembroke. So we've had an opportunity to look a little bit more into the town. Part of my next adventure is the magazine that I'm launching, which is Pembroke Neighbors. That we'll be doing. And what led me to it really is just as a small business owner, the amount of time and effort that goes into marketing a business and really getting the name recognition out there. It's something that I love doing, but it also felt like it distracted me from doing the core of my business, which was being a personal trainer and and a coach.
So that's your background, personal trainer?
That's part of my background.
Okay.
So it's a longer story than that, because before that I was in corporate finance, and I was in corporate finance for going up close to about 16 years with that company. So I've got a pretty deep corporate background. Got tired of the corporate life and opened a gym, partly for my own health and wellness reasons. But also because I really enjoyed working directly with the people and helping them achieve their goals and really stay focused on what they're trying to achieve for themselves.
So corporate finance, I'm going to drill in on this.
All right.
Was it VC? Was it PE? Was it banking?
Financial planning and analysis. So I did a lot of more of the budgeting and things like that relative to the large operations in North America for the business I was with.
And you didn't enjoy that?
Like anything else, there's things you love and there's things that, you don't love so much. I felt the boardroom was a bit of a grind. I felt there was a lot of time and effort that I put into it that wasn't always recognized. And, it's a check at the end of the day, and it really wasn't serving me as a human being, as a person. And that's really when I got into a situation where I was a reduction of force, as most people in corporate America get an option to go through. Well, not an option. They get a situation where they go through that. And the company I was with, I actually went through it 3 times. And it was the third time where I, basically decided I needed to go off in my own direction, be the captain of my own ship, so to speak.
And when you did that, I mean, I did not exactly the same thing. I was in the corporate world in Europe. And when I moved over here, I actually moved over here with the corporation I was working for, but very quickly found myself in a situation where they were asking me to go back to Europe, and I didn't want to. And so I went out on my own. And very, very quickly, I realized how much time I was wasting in corporate life, reporting to people, whether they be senior to you or lateral to you or beneath you. You were always sitting in meetings. So little of my day was generating money. Whereas when I went out on my own, it's all generating money. And that's very exciting.
It's definitely a different paradigm for sure. So the thing I enjoyed most in that role was working with the local operations. So we had real estate all across the United States and Canada. So working with the operations teams, helping them basically build out their models and things like that for the year is really where I got most of my enjoyment. So I enjoyed those meetings. But the end of month, slide deck that you had to put together and, get reprimanded because you didn't put a period at the end of a sentence where, those types of things where it was just nuance. And it was like, okay, there's no value here other than you don't want to be yelled at because there wasn't a period at the end.
I remember I was in a huge meeting, big meeting, where I was there, not as a salesperson, but I was a third party. And the owner of the company I was with was present in the meeting. And I think he was judging my presentation skills. Anyhow, I was in front of this board of people. And this one guy, he said, I charge, and it was British money, I charge every executive £1 for every time I see them missing a comma at the end of whatever it was. And I had £1 in my pocket, and I just took it off. took it out of my pocket and I threw it across the room. I said, "There's your £1. Can we get on with the meeting?" And yeah, but that kind of, I don't know, how would you describe it? It's almost childishness, but it's like this urge to be heard, this urge to be the most important person in the room or the smartest person in the room. But you don't prove it by finding where the comma or the period's missing.
Yeah, sometimes they just want to make you dance,
Yeah, exactly. So you got your tap shoes on. So tell me about the magazine then.
Yeah, so we're launching Pembroke as a new town, and I work with a team in the South Shore, so we've got several magazines out there, Marshfield, Duxbury, Hanover, Kingston, Plymouth. So within our network, we have a lot of local businesses that participate in publications in other towns, and we're trying to bring that into Pembroke. And the magazine itself is really all about town communication. It's about bringing stories in about families. In fact, the cover of our magazine will always have a feature family from the town. That is basically the focal point each month.
Right.
And then we're looking for local businesses to help sponsor that. So it becomes a win-win because the community gets to have a voice about what's happening, newsworthy stories, everything positive. We try to, it's not like social media where all the negative nastiness kind of seeps in. So we really want to really highlight a lot of the really good stuff that happens in the town. And so the win-win, obviously, for the local community is they have one place to see when the soccer games are, what's happening at the community center, what we're doing at the Pembroke Foundation, like all those types of things where without that, you have to kind of be aware of where to go search or to actually go out and search. And then it's a win for the sponsors of the magazines, the local businesses, because they get to be a voice in the community as well. So we go beyond just an advertisement to one of my favorite things is what we call expert contributors. And that's where we would have whether it be an HVAC or an electrician, that they can actually write an article in the magazine, not necessarily to sell their business, but to educate and inform on their expertise on how to be a good homeowner, so to speak, so that you don't have to call them in a rush and that type of thing.
Yeah.
And the whole concept then becomes that person is the first one they think of, right? So in the case of a plumber, if their water heater blows up, they're going to naturally go to the person who is writing in the publication that they open every month, right? So it gives them a really solid voice in the community there as well.
And you said, so there was something I wasn't aware of.
Sure.
So you're not trying to launch something from scratch.
Correct.
You're working with other people. So is it a cooperative or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a larger organization that does the print, right? So you want to have those economies of scale, right? So to just print 3,000 magazines would be very expensive if that was your soup to nuts. That's not the best way to do it. So we do leverage a large printing organization. We have a full digital team that also helps on the digital side of promotion as well. So there's a lot of horsepower in the background that helps support that.
Right. So did you, tell me to bugger off if I'm being too personal, but did you buy a franchise that allowed you to do this, or did they come to you and say, we don't have anyone in Pembroke? I mean, how does it work?
Yeah, no, that's a great story, actually, Fraser. So one of the things that I've been doing towards the back half of my time as a gym owner is networking with other small businesses. So one of the businesses that I networked with is South Shore Connections, and they have 3 different magazines. It's not a franchise organization or anything like that, but once you kind of sign up for a town, that's your publication.
Right.
And so it's not like a business model that you buy into. It's really just a focus on, do you want to be the type of person that connects other businesses together, and do you see value in that? So, And that, again, that's a big part that I enjoy, is just sitting down with different businesses, understanding what they do, and seeing if I can add value either from my experience as a small business owner in the past or on the grander scale in the corporate finance world.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're taking what you learned from the corporate finance world and applying it to this, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that, and then the entrepreneurial side of everything too. So yeah, with the larger corporate side of things, you definitely get an idea for the mechanics of profitability and what it takes to get there. As a small business owner, it's all about the grind, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got to take care of your business and you got to be an expert at what you do. And then at the same time, you got to go out and find customers, right? And that's what I love about this. Like, I wish I had this as a gym owner and where I was at in Rockland, because what we do on the publication promotion side makes it almost, I don't want to say effortless, because there's always some involvement, but there's a lot less that I would have needed to do as a small business owner to help promote my business, because there's a team that actually picks that up and does it.
Got it. Actually, the best lesson I ever had about running your own business came from somebody called Taylor Hawkins, the drummer of the Foo Fighters.
Okay.
He's unfortunately dead now, but he was doing this interview on BBC, and the interviewer said to him, "So what's your best advice to give anyone who's starting out in the music business?" He said, as a musician, and he said, "Learn the whole song. Learn the whole song. Don't learn the fills. Don't learn the intro. Don't learn the ending. Learn the whole song, and then learn the whole song for each of your bandmates. And only then would you be able to be proficiently in a band." And I always remember thinking, oh my God, that's what you have to do as an entrepreneur or an owner of a small business. You have to learn the whole song.
Oh yeah.
And so and play every part.
Lots of hats.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So what's the name of that's Taylor? Yeah, Taylor Hawkins.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, not Zig Ziglar, Taylor Hawkins. What's the name of the magazine?
So the magazine's Pembroke Neighbors.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And are they all neighbors? So it's Duxbury Neighbors?
Yeah. So within South Shore Connections, those are all neighbors. I would think Hanover's Hanover Living. Don't quote me on that. But
right.
Yeah. So we have some, ability to change the name, but because of how close we are, right, the proximity to all the other towns, keeping the same naming convention just made sense.
Yeah, and it's easier to advertise.
Yeah.
So cool. And so we've spoken about the aim of the magazine, and it's to focus on the neighbors. It's to focus on the town.
Correct.
So your target? What's your target audience? The target audience is not the businesses, or it is the businesses? Yeah.
So the magazine itself gets mailed to the homeowners, and so I want to say distribution right now is going to be about 3,000 homeowners. It's not out yet. We're targeting for March to have our first issue published. In order to get that, we do have to have sponsors. So that's where, in terms of the sales effort, so to speak, comes in connecting with other small businesses to see if they want to be a sponsor of the magazine, to get their name out there so that they're, recognized in the community beyond just a billboard or something somebody scopes out on an internet search.
So if there's a business listening right now that you haven't been able to approach, but they can approach you.
Yes.
So what sort of, do you have a template of what the costs are, or would you prefer to have that as a...
Yeah, because we range from print to digital, there's a lot of flavor. So
got it. Okay.
We'll do Meta ads, we'll do Google ads, as well as the print, and all of that works together and helps to accelerate the branding that goes into it. But yeah, so typically what my process looks like is a lot of what I'm doing at the chamber is really just introducing myself, having a conversation. I want to know, what are you doing that's working? What are you doing that's not working? Mm-hmm. Right? Because a lot of times, and I found this for myself as a small business owner, I would dabble, right? And I would do a little bit of something and feel like I was doing okay. but I was so focused on that little thing. Yeah, exactly. And then there was all this other stuff that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
So then I turned my attention to the other stuff, and then this thing would start to go away.
Right.
Right. So one of the things, and again, going back to my experience, like even in the larger corporate environment, when I looked at a local operation, those were things we looked at as, are you spreading yourself out too thin, or are you getting good coverage by using your team, by making sure the whole band is playing together, to use your phrase. So that becomes a big part of it. So my process really is just about sitting down, having a conversation. Mm-hmm. Like the worst thing that happens is somebody says no, but we've shaken hands, we've gotten to get to know each other, and hopefully we see each other in town or at chamber events or other kind of networking events as well.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in referral marketing in terms of, I don't refer a business unless I know them. So just because, somebody does something well, if I haven't had a chance to sit across the table, have a conversation and shake their hand, I want to know that they're trustworthy. Mm-hmm. So I will share that network from a networking perspective, to an electrician, whether they decide to be partners with me in the magazine or not.
Okay.
So really it's about building that local business strength. And that comes just by meeting person to person and having conversations.
Yeah. So, and I think you're right not to answer my question about the costs, but let's talk about the range of sponsorships you could have. Not the actual cost, but sponsoring a line, sponsoring a page, sponsoring a double page. I mean, what kind of sponsorship opportunities are there?
It's, if you're talking about the print side of things, what you typically imagine, right? So front cover's done, right? We take a local family and they are the focal point of the magazine. So there's inside covers, there's back covers. We do sponsorship pages as well. So real estate would be a great example. We'll have a real estate page with an MLS listing with a local real estate company sponsoring that page so that they can basically communicate their brand while also communicating what's happening on the MLS. Mm-hmm. But we'll also have a feature for charity events and things like that, which is, I've been spending some time with the guys at the Pembroke Foundation. Mm-hmm. So I can, from a content perspective, think about how we would bring that stuff in just to build more awareness around what the foundation's doing. Yeah. But there's so many other things, be it the food pantry, even, some of the local historical places in town as well. So to really be able to build content around that as well. And businesses can sponsor those types of pages as well.
Right. That's interesting because we're also looking at, and we'll talk about the chamber in a minute, but having people sponsoring those sorts of things and the proceeds from what we do go to the scholarship funds and stuff like that. But no, the foundation, is it John Brown, Chris Perry, and David Boyle. And they've got an event coming up. Is it this week?
Thursday. Yeah. It's
right. Let's push that. So they have an event this Thursday, and that's the proceeds of that are going to the food pantry. So you kind of hit two birds with one stone in that last sentence of yours. So that's going to be an interesting event to go to. And are you going? Do you have a team?
I don't have a team, but I told Chris I'd be there one way in one capacity or another. Right. But I've actually been talking to some of the people in my networking group, so I'm meeting with them tomorrow morning. I have to do a little recruiting, see if I can get a team together. Cool. But that's a great opportunity too. Just since we're talking about it, for small businesses to come together, do it as a team event. So team building is always very important. So get your staff together, get a team of 4, grab a table Thursday night at 7.
Yeah. So are the tables still available? Or?
As far as I know, yes.
Right. I know Chris and John were looking to kick up field and get bookings, but I do think there is still, don't be deterred. Get down there. So the progress so far, you want to launch, or you're planning to launch in March.
Yes.
what has been the processes or the progress? What have you had to do to get to that point?
Really what it boils down to right now, again, is getting businesses to sponsor the magazine. So I'm about 25% of the way there. I really haven't had a chance to do a whole lot of effort just because I was wrapping up business in Rockland with the gym. So January is really my full force effort into getting the magazine launched and everything. But yeah, over the interim during the holidays, I have spoken to a lot of the local businesses, not all of them. So getting out there and connecting is definitely a big part of my activity right now.
Yeah. What about the journalistic side, the editorial side? Who's doing all that for you?
So we'll have a content creator that will participate in that. So a lot of, when we talk about the feature family, we'll have a interview not dissimilar to this, a list of questions to go through and whatnot, and that's what we'll build the content from there. But other than that, a lot of the content that comes from the community. So if we have any budding writers out there that want to, write something about the town that's town focused and not biased, right? We'll pull that in to the magazine as well. But the stories and things, whatnot, are all generated about the town and largely by people in the town to deliver that.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I suspect, and I don't want to sound like it's the Chris Perry show, but Chris could also help with the historic.
Yeah.
Or no, it's probably more like Scott. Have you met Scott?
Scott
Sharon. I always get his name wrong.
Okay. I'm going to say no.
Sorry, Scott, if I'm getting it wrong. Scott is the president of the Historic Society. Yeah. Chris is the historic district.
Yeah. Chris and I spent a little bit of time during the holidays talking about the foundation and kind of what his background's been, what he's done with Veterans Park and things like that as well. So all, really important stuff that I'm sure a lot of people in the community don't really know about. So
I think the historic side of things, and not the Historic District Commission, but the Historic Society. So it's Scott. They have so many. They've got a lot of history, and there's a lot of stories. And Scott is like, in fact, we reissued the historic podcast that we did. It was one of the very first podcasts that we did, and we reissued it last week.
Oh, nice!
It was a quiet week. And Scott just has so much information, so much background. And I keep saying to him, where'd you get this over? Oh, I read this book, or I read that book. He reads a lot of books.
Yeah.
And he and I did a deal on we did a 300. So in 2012 was the 300th anniversary of Pembroke.
Okay.
And so this beautiful book was produced. And the book was sold in 2012, and those that didn't sell were just boxed in the library. And the library went to the town and said, can we do something with these books because they're just gathering dust? It's like 150 books. So I went to the select board, offered, from a chamber point of view, offered to buy the books to get them off their books, so to speak, and then we donated them to Scott and the Historic Society.
Oh, fantastic.
That book is full of information. You should, if you want a quick start, just rip a couple of pages out and stick it in the magazine.
Nice. Very nice.
Good. And there are other things we could be doing. So the town news that we record, that's scripted. So the script we can just forward to you and you can put in.
Yeah.
So, you're gathering data, you're gathering newsworthy information. That
and it goes out monthly, so we have to have a little. Obviously, it's not just the next day publishing. It typically takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get the content for the next month release. So, whatever we have that's available to us in that time frame, we can certainly look at incorporating that.
Yeah, but you could be promoting now the town elections, making sure people understand when the town elections are. And when the town meeting is, where to show up for the town meeting. That kind of stuff, it boggles me. It baffles me, actually, not boggles. It baffles me that we can have close to 20,000 people, residents, and we struggle to get 200 people going to town meeting.
Yeah.
So less than 1%. And yet that town meeting is deciding what our budgets are, what people get paid, how many firefighters we have. I mean, it's just insane.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We as town folks can control all the things we can complain about. We complain about potholes. We complain about water. We complain about police. We don't complain about the police, but we want security. We want education. We control all of that.
Yep.
And so it's important. So we need to use the magazine. We need to make sure we need to help you make sure that the information in there.
And again, it's getting the news out there that, with those important dates, which is, definitely one of those things. Like, I think you kind of lose sight of when those things happen or when they're scheduled to happen.
Yeah.
So,
well, the other thing that I think town officials, people that are involved in the town like myself, is because it's happening, you just
top of mind.
You roll with it.
Yeah.
But it never fails to amaze me when people come up to me and say, "Hey, so you're involved in town. What's happening with da 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 da?" So, well, why don't you go to the town meeting and find out?
Yeah.
Anyhow, so that's the vision, the future of the magazine. So you're only just started. So
just started. I
don't know if you have this Japanese long-range forecast and 50-year plan, but what's the future look like?
Well, I see a big part of it is developing, and that usually, if I look at the other magazines across the country, developing that magazine usually takes like a year or two to really get its stride.
Right.
From there, it's, partnering other towns or launching other towns to do something similar to that.
Yeah.
And the thing that's really powerful right now in the South Shore is we have a nice tight group of towns that are doing this. So it's great for the larger businesses out there that do more than just Pembroke, right?
Yeah.
And their business, saturates all through the South Shore. We can, get that promotion out across that whole area. So the more towns that we have involved, the better.
Yeah.
Right. So I know like some other new publications going on right now is West Bridgewater. There's one in South Weymouth and Braintree that are currently basically in the same process that I'm in right now as far as new publishers, new magazines going out there.
So is there like a trade organization where you all get together once a month and talk about what you're doing or?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the organization, I mean, I wouldn't call it a trade organization, but we have a team and we don't, like, we're all independent contractors in the organization as a whole, but we're all sharing our war stories, what's working, what's not working. But the cool thing is the vision's pretty much the same. It's like, how do you make a print publication in this digital world that we're living as something that people actually pick up and read?
Yeah.
And the only way you do that is you make it real and you make it about people.
Yeah.
And I think that's, even now, like so much stuff is AI. Like when you go on social media and stuff like that, you have no clue, is it real or is it Memorex, right? Like the old stuff. And because we're talking to your neighbors, when someone picks up that magazine, they're going to see the family and they either know the family on there and they're going to want to read the article. They're going to see that picture of the family like, I've seen them. I know something about them. I want to learn more.
Yeah.
Or they're going to be like, who the heck are these people?
Yeah.
How do I not know who they are?
Yeah.
And so like readership of the magazine is incredible from that perspective. So that becomes the focus. Everything else is, all right, what else can we help inform the town about in there? So it's awesome.
How much does the magazine cost the reader?
So the distribution's free to the reader. So it's all funded by the sponsorship from effectively the ad revenue that is generated from.
Wow. Because I can't find a magazine under $20 in Barnes & Noble. Trust me.
I can't find a Barnes & Noble.
Is it Barnes & Noble? My daughter works there. Yeah, there's one at the, I call it the Derby Street shops, but it's Derby Street to you Americans. But there's one there.
Yeah.
It's And it's great because the actual Barnes & Noble, the CEO of Barnes & Noble, he's a British guy who came from Waterstones, and he's injected this new, it's become more of a popular place to be because he's made them more local.
Yeah.
So it's full of local authors, local content, and stuff like that. So you do feel...
It's not dissimilar to the magazine.
Exactly.
It's like, make it local, man.
Look, the first thing I noticed when I moved over here was the homogenization of the cultures. Everyone dressed in Gap. Everybody ate in McDonald's. Everybody went to Walmart. And whatever you were. Whereas in Europe, there was these borders. I mean, you could drive from Paris to Amsterdam in a couple of hours, and you'll have driven through 4 different countries to get there. And those 4 different countries have different languages, different dress, different, even the beer. The beer changed.
Oh, yeah.
Because the food changed. And so I liked that. It was annoying on one level that if you found yourself away for the weekend in a different country, even though it was only 40 minutes away, but you needed something in an emergency, you couldn't buy the brand that you were used to.
Right.
Whereas in America, you can travel 6-7 hour flights and everything looks the same and acts the same and is the same. So
yeah, that's true.
Sounds like I'm being critical of America. I'm absolutely not critical of America. I love it here. So I was going to talk about, I've got here collaborations. Before we get onto the collaborations, you talked about the chamber. We're now both part of the chamber. I'm part of the chamber, obviously. What is it about being a member of the chamber that attracted you?
Well, again, the big part of it was networking, right? So the first foray into joining the chamber was, this is an opportunity to meet other small businesses. Mm-hmm. And, when I think about the chamber, it is really just about how do you, what is the saying? Rising tide raises all ships, right? And that's how I see the chamber as a whole, is being able to bring the business community up and let all the businesses, big and small, be able to do better. And a big part of that too is, I think, building that belief system that it's better to buy from that shop at the corner than to call dial. Well, we don't call her dial, but we go to Amazon and get the thing, right?
Yeah.
So the more that I think we do that as citizens of our town, the better our towns are to live in, right? So we have to support ourselves by making better local decisions.
I don't disagree. Listen, we've got 700 businesses in the town of Pembroke. We got about 125 that are members of the chamber. We can do better. And those 125 need to work. They don't need to work harder. We as a chamber need to work harder at pulling them all together.
Yep.
The social events that we do, they need to be more frequent. They need to be bigger, not necessarily grander, but better promoted. And, people... As you wrote, in actual fact, the email that we sent out, you wrote some of that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was terrific that you're thinking about how we support each other.
Right. And again, it is a what's in it for me type of thing, right? So when it comes to the chamber, we need to make it very valuable to be part of the chamber. Right. It's a small fee to be a chamber member. I want it to be 10x the value. Yeah. So if it's $125, I think.
Sure.
Like, heck, I don't even want $1,250. I want $10,000 worth of value that comes from that relationship and the relationships that are built from that community. That's the value of networking. That's the value of business to business referrals. Yeah. And I think, I want people clamoring to be part of the chamber, because to not be would just be bad business, like a poor business decision.
Mm-hmm. It's surprising, actually. There's a lot of people in the chamber that are members of other chambers and not our chamber because they didn't know. We're working to fix that, which is why we've affiliated with the South Shore Chamber, which I think was a smart move for us, still keeping it local. So good. Listen, we're actually at time.
Okay.
But we're not kicking you out just yet.
Sure.
Did you come here with a view to saying something? Was there anything burning that you haven't been able to say because the question hasn't been asked, or?
Oh, boy. No, honestly, I didn't come in to this conversation with any necessarily perspective of what to say, or, this isn't necessarily something to sell, so to speak.
Right.
For me, it's about awareness. And I guess what it boils down to is I'm a real person. I'm a local resident on the South Shore, not in Pembroke, but who knows someday.
Yeah.
All the real estate agents' ears just perked up. But I am, a small business owner. Obviously, I have business in Pembroke as well. So it's really, really important to me that the town is as successful as possible, that the next 10 years is all upside for the town and the South Shore as a whole. And, I want to do my small part in making that happen and being a contributor to that.
Terrific. Excellent. Well, I want to thank our guest, Leon Beeloo. Beeloo, my apologies.
That's right.
So thank you, Leon Beeloo, for being our guest. And thank you to the listeners for tuning in. This podcast will be available on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube with additional links to our Facebook page. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at the Pembroke Chamber of Commerce. And if you're interested in becoming a member of the Chamber, please go to the Chamber of Commerce website, pembrokechamber.org. Leon, thank you so much for your time today, and good luck with the magazine.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Fraser.